So, welcome to Tales Tomorrow. I am Morrow, your storyteller for today, and with me have some more D&D content that is not about RPG horror stories. It is 5:26 in the morning, and I'm taking a break from editing more Tales Tomorrow videos to talk about the new thing that was introduced just now, well, a day ago, 10 species in the 2024 Player Handbook, because, ladies and gentlemen, I read through them, and I have concerns, questions. Main question is, what is WotC smoking? What sort of shrooms are they on, and can they share a little bit? Because I want to figure out what sort of a thing that is influencing them badly. I don't want to make it seem like they're completely doing something absolutely awful and terrible to the whole thing, because in a sense they're making some things a little bit better for humans and for Goliaths, I guess, in a sense. The 2024 Player Handbook has changed the way character creation works. As part of the new journey, each of the 10 playable species featured in the 2024 core rules have been revisited and revamped. Some of these species were part of the 2014 core rules, and others have been added to the list. We'll take a look at what's new for each and what some of the overall changes are. Now, I'll let you know right now, I skimmed through a lot of it, and some changes are good and some are just plain infuriating. I'm not a huge fan of what they're doing with the new Tieflings. I'll be straight up and honest with you, but that's a bit of a bias because I like more player options. I hate what WotC considers them as quote-unquote streamlining, because a lot of those streamlining is just taking cool stuff away from the players and making it as no options, basically. First of all, the new updated species or race selection that you have for D&D is Aasimar, Dragonborn, Dwarf, Elf, Gnome, Goliath, Halfling, Human, Orc, Tiefling. Notice how they don't have half-elves and half-orcs. That is by design, and I believe they don't really cover it, but they covered definitely back in the past. If you want to make it like a half orc with a human or an elf, you just take halvesies of one feature and the other feature and sort of mix and match and stuff. I'm not fully sure how they designed it and how they expect people to put it together, but they're expecting people just to come up with their own half orc and half tiefling from then on out. Let's go from the top with Aasimar. Now included as a species and core rules are based on Aasimar's for Mordecai presents blah 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 celestial revelation. You can select the option each time you transform. All celestial revelation forms deal extra damage once per turn on an attack. In Radiance, previous radiant consumption still deals radiant damage equal to a proficiency bonus with a 10-foot radius, but the extra radiant damage of one attack per turn has been moved to the broader celestial revelation feature. Now, if you never played Aasimar, you're probably going to be a little bit confused, but if you have played Aasimar, then I guess good news, your celestial relation, where you had to select at level 3 to either have necrotic shroud ability or radiant consumption ability or radiant soul ability, now you don't have to select them. Aasimar gained the celestial relation trait at level 3, and as a bonus action was changed from Monsters of the Multiverse that has carried through to the 2024 Aasimar. An updated boost to the power for the new core rules is that the Aasimar no longer has to pick which option of this trait you want to take when you unlock it. Instead, you choose which option you want to take whenever you activate it. This means when your celestial revelation is not tied to your mood or emotional state when you call upon it. Are you looking to soar with your heavenly wings? Are you ready to be a righteous beacon of your inner radiance? Or are you feeling broken, crestfallen, and down with your necrotic shroud? What is WotC on? Whatever mushrooms they're huffing in their offices. Who came up with the idea that it's part of your tied to your mood or emotional state when you call upon your celestial revelation? Nothing in the flavor text about it says anything about emotions or anything. It's just when you reach 3rd level, choose one of the revelation options below. Thereafter, you can use as a bonus action to unleash the celestial energy within yourself. I mean, maybe as a celestial, Aasimar have a sense of like that emotional outburst whenever they use the feature, but nothing is written or tied to it having to do with emotions. It's just a choice that you had. You had to just pick one of the 3 cool things that you can do, and that's just something you can do. There's no more choice on with character creation. You just get all of them. There's no difference between either Aasimar except maybe what physical features they have, like, you know, the cosmetic things or which class you're playing. But every single Aasimar from then on, whenever they're created, is basically going to be the same. There's lack of choice. That took away your choice and just gave you the a la carte and just let you have it all, basically. Instead of choosing one specific feature that defines your character a little bit more, more and changes your gameplay in some way, they're basically saying, nah, who needs choice? Just give him everything. Why not? And that lack of choice is extremely seen in some of the other selections, like Dragonborn. Dragonborn, breath weapon, now functions similarly to what the Fizzband's Treasury of Dragons. It can be used as part of the attack action, has uses equal to your proficiency bonus, and damage scales from 1d10 up to 4d10 at level 17. You can choose the shape of your breath weapon each time, 15-foot cone or 30-foot line. Draconic Flight, at level 5, your Dragonborn can sprout spectral wings that appear similar to your breath weapon. They gain a fly speed after 10 minutes. This feature is once per long rest. They're not talking about some of the new features for Gem Dragonborn, or Metallic Dragonborn, or Prismatic Dragonborn, or some of the Critical Roles Dragonborn, because that apparently, I'm assuming, is just out the window. And the reason I think that is because when you cover elves and gnomes and tieflings, there's obviously a big difference between the different selections. Each one has specific subspecies or sub-race, but for Dragonborn, they don't have that. Every Dragonborn could just have a breath weapon, choose whether it's a cone or line attack, and then have Draconic Flight, which is, I believe, is a feature from Gem Dragonborn. With Dragonborn, you used to select your specific scales or specific dragon type, whether it be a blue dragon, gold dragon, and depending on that, it does specific type of damage, and then had a specific breath weapon attack, whether it be a line or a cone. But now that goes away, which isn't too terrible to consider until you start looking at all the other things that got it from Dragonborn and just put into this one single homogeneous Dragonborn with lack of choice. You just can't really choose to be a specific type of dragon. Because of this, you can no longer select the chromatic warding ability from Chromatic Dragonborn. Metallic Dragonborn's metallic breath weapons features also not included, so you can't benefit from having enervating breath and repulsion breath as an option for playing a Metallic Dragonborn. And you can no longer pick Gem Dragonborn with Psionic Mind to give telepathic messages to any creature you can see within 30 feet. You just get Gem Flight that's been upgraded from 1 minute to 10 minutes, and now it's added level 5 for all Dragonborn. I like the upgrade to 10 minutes, but I still don't see a reason why they had to take away Chromatic Gem and Metallic Dragonborn and not giving you this option, this feature, this ability to choose which specific feature you like from either the Dragonborn and then just go to town with that. Instead, they sort of cobbled Dragonborn together into one singular choice, not giving you multiple choices after that. And it's not even speaking for Dragonblood or the Ravenite content, but it just kind of feels like they just homogenized Dragonborn. What irks me the most is the lack of choice and option. No longer can you be a unique Dragonborn. Every Dragonborn is the same. No longer can Aasimar be unique in specific ways. Every Aasimar is the same. And they've done the same thing for Halfling and Dwarf, I believe, and they're homogenizing the most fun part out of character creation, the choice of your species and subspecies. Unless they're introducing something new with the Dragonborn, which I don't think they're covered so far in this thing. I read through it and it didn't seem like they even talk about having extra subspecies for Dragonborn at all. Dragonborn is just a singular selection where every Dragonborn is the same and there's no difference. All of them are just completely and utterly homogenized, except maybe picking your specific breath weapon, but that's about it. And I gotta be honest, I hate it. I genuinely dislike it, and it gets even worse from here. Dwarf, for example, dwarves have been streamlined, and I can't stress enough how much conniptions it gives me to read the word streamlined, because I know something is going to be taken away from a selection for players. They now all receive Dwarven Toughness, Dark Vision to a range of 120 feet, and an updated Stone Cutting. Your speed is now 30 feet. Stone Cutting 2014 feature has been replaced. You now gain Tremor Sense for 10 minutes on stone surfaces as a bonus action. You can use trait a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus. You want to be an underground dwarf that has a lot of vision? Do you want to be a mountain dwarf or a hill dwarf with like the proficiencies and the extra health? No, every dwarf is just the same now, because why does it matter? Every dwarf is the same and all doesn't matter. Your choice is gone. No more choice for if you want to be a Duergar or not. And both Duergar from Dwarf Legacy Subrace and the new Duergar from like the new update stuff also came with Duergar magic, and that's no longer there. You now no longer have that, or having the Duergar resilience with advantage in saving throws against illusions and against being charmed or paralyzed. It's gone. There's no more of that, because every dwarf now has Dark Vision of 120, and Hill Dwarf's Dwarven Toughness is just baseline now, so there's no point of picking a Hill Dwarf in the slightest. We're just combining all the dwarves together. Why not? The one thing that genuinely irks me though is why take away Stone Cunning? Whenever you make an intelligence history check related to the origin of stonework, you consider proficient in a history skill and add double your proficiency bonus to the check instead of a normal proficiency bonus. Why did they take this away? Why not just add the new Tremor Sense ability that they're adding as a new thing instead of gutting and replacing and throwing out stone cutting. Yeah, on one hand, stone cutting is not going to be the most insanely good feature that's going to make or break for the campaign and stuff, or really going to help in combat and everything. But for me personally, I've had an experience where I have a dwarf player that actually utilizes stone cutting, and it's an option. It's a chance for me. It's a privilege for me as a DM to give him some sort of cool lore that was pre-written ahead of time about this place that he is in, whether it be a tunnel, or he sees a statue, or an ancient ruins, or an ancient stone crypt where he can actually identify cool things. And I can either give him pre-written lore or come up with lore on the spot to make it feel more fulfilling for him about the things that his character learns to further deepen the immersion aspect for the game. Let's go ahead and take it away and replace it with Tremor Sense, which I'm not against Tremor Sense. I just don't understand why they couldn't just keep stone cutting as it is and just add a new feature. The only beneficial thing to have for Dwarf is the speed is now 30, which I kind of like. It's gonna sound very boomer of me, but I kind of like when you select a gnome or a dwarf or a halfling that your speed is reduced because of your smaller stature. And then when you select things like tabaxi or centaur, your speed is actually increased because of your more agile body, more agile physique and stuff. I like that idea that each selection for you comes with its own caveats, comes with its own upsides and downsides. Some species and races have dark vision while others don't, but they have other cool features that the other ones don't have either. That you have this option between choosing an Aarakocra and choosing whether you want to be flying around and stuff, or going full on bugbear and having that extra reach. That, in my opinion, was like one of the coolest parts of creating a character, is the choice that you have between what features you would want and what features you'd like to run with, and the variety of it. Like I said, dwarf speed being 30 and stuff is not a terrible thing. In fact, it's kind of a buff. It's kind of neat. I think it's kind of cool. Is it necessary change? I don't think so. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's gonna make it or break it. Moving on to the elves. You can now choose Insight, Perception, and Survival for your keen senses trait. Cool. Drought no longer suffers from sunlight sensitivity. Cool. I don't think modern day Duergar also suffer from that either, so it kind of makes sense for Drow not to suffer from that. But either way, it doesn't take anything away aside from some of the challenges. High Elf starts with Prestidigitation cantrip, but can replace it with a different cantrip from Wizard spell list whenever you complete a long rest. Wood Elf, Mask of the Wild has been replaced with Knowledge of the Druidcraft cantrip. I don't know if I like that, but we'll get to check it out in a bit here and decide for ourselves. Each elf variant has an associated pair of spells gained by level 3 and level 5. Yep, that's already been a thing. Elves typically get a level 3 and level 5, except Wood Elf. I like to see what they're giving for Wood Elves here. Each of the 3 main 2024 elf lineages and 3 new 2024 lineages, Tiefling lineages gain access to unique spells at level 3 and level 5. For example, the Wood Elf now gains Long Stride at level 3 and Pass Without a Trace at level 5. Ooh, okay, that's actually good. I like that. I noticed that Wood Elves were the ones that never usually got any sort of magic. I think you had to pick a feat for them in order to get magic of some kind. Though I do want to check out the ability for Wood Elves, the Mask of the Wild. You can attempt to hide even when you're only lightly obscured by foliage, heavy rain, falling snow, mist, or other natural phenomena. I think Mask of the Wild is actually kind of cool thing to use, especially if your DM was going to allow you to attempt to hide even with lightly obscured foliage or heavy rain. I think if anything, that adds more to the Wood Elf than it does taking that feature away and just add them to Druidcraft cantrip. Creating little sensations and little flowers and stuff is definitely going to be more useful than be able to hide when lightly obscured by foliage and heavy rain when you're just in the forest trying to hunt and stuff. Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Seriously, some of these selections, like I want to know what sort of drugs Watsy's on. I want to huff it and experience it for myself, because clearly they're seeing something that I'm not. I'm also surprised and a little bit disappointed that they didn't combine all the elves together. Can combine all the elves together, but you definitely deal with Dragonborn and the dwarves. Why didn't you combine the elves? God, it gives me the most conniptions. None of it makes any sense. Why they're merging some of them, but not the precious elves? I just don't get it. This drives me insane. Let's move on. Gnome, speed is now 30 feet. Of course, same thing with the dwarves. Forest gnome, the gnome gets to have a specific subspecies or subrace, but the dwarves can't, and the dragonborn can't. Oh, this is gonna give me so many conniptions, but I can't be ranting about each one. at a time. Speak with small beasts has been replaced with speak with animal spells. The spell is always prepared and you can cast it without a spell slot a number of times equal to a proficiency bonus. You can also cast it with a spell slot available for a character class. Speak with small beasts as a feature was completely fine. I don't know why WotC has to take away feature and replace it with a spell. Well, the spell is limited because it only can do it like you could do it a number of times equal to a proficiency bonus. But with a feature such as speak with animals, you can use it literally any time. I don't see why they didn't just upgrade speak with small beasts to speak with beasts and just make it so you could speak with beasts that are medium or even large and through gestures communicate with them lightly instead of just turning to a spell. Not everything needs to be solved as a spell, WotC. We don't need to have spells when we already have good enough features as they are. Just update them, buff speak with small beasts to speak with beasts, enhance it, make it like speak with animals, give them unlimited usage of it instead of locking it to specifically a spell that you can only use it a few times a day. WotC's giving me so many conniptions, but I can't be taking time picking out every single thing. I gotta go one by one. We just gotta keep it moving somehow before I completely just roast myself in anger. Rock Gnome, you gain the mending and prestidigitation cantrips. The Tinker trait has also been a reward for the 2024 Rock Gnome. Its effects are based on prestidigitation. You can still have up to 3 devices at a time. Given the ability for mending a prestidigitation cantrip just baseline, that's a great thing. I genuinely enjoy that. Tinkering feature was something that I liked a lot. You have proficiency with artisan tools, tinkerer's tools. Using these tools, you can spend 1 hour and 10 gold worth of material to construct a tiny clockwork device of AC 5 HP 1. The device ceases to function after 24 hours. Please just spend 1 hour repairing it to keep the device functioning. When you use the action to dismantle it, at that time you can reclaim the materials used to create it. You can have up to 3 such devices active at a time. You can have a clockwork toy that's an animal, monster, or person that moves around and basically acts a little bit like a little toy that just kind of makes a little bit of noises. Good for if you're trying to distract somebody while sneaking around, in my opinion. Firestarter basically lets you make a little flip light, which is awesome, which is fantastic. And Music Box, it basically was some sort of a musical distraction device, which I think all 3 of those would have been fantastic if you're making like a rogue and you're able to actually tinker away and create your own little distractions. But for them to rework Tinker trait to basically be based on prestidigitation is just kind of, I just hope that this is not going to be making things worse, but instead going to be enhancing the amount of different effects you can make, not just the little clockwork stuff, or maybe still allowing you to create the clockwork stuff and not just base things on just what prestidigitation is. Anyway, gnome changes I think are probably okay for now. Jesus Christ, it gives me conniptions. I can't spend this long going over them. Goliath, the eating good. Goliath now included a species and core rule set, blah blah blah. Speed is now 35. Pog, giant ancestry. You cannot choose the type of giant you descended from, selecting cloud giant, fire giant, frost giant, hill giant, stone giant, and storm giant. Each gives a special benefit. You can select number of times equal to proficiency bonuses. Awesome. At level 5, you can use a bonus action to become large for 10 minutes, gaining advantage on strength checks and increasing the speed by 10 feet. Great! Powerful build. Formerly a little giant. No longer grants proficiency in athletics, but you have advantage on saving throws made to end the grapple condition in addition to increased carrying capacity. The lack of proficiency with athletics I think is kind of stupid, but I mean, I guess advantage on ending the grapple is fine. Then I don't know. I don't know who this was necessarily done for. The extra speed increase is great and all. And large form reminds me of the subclass for the Rune Knight. That's what it was. They have a specific feature at level 3 that they receive called Giant Smite. You've learned how to imbue yourself with the might of the giants. As a bonus action, you magically gain the following benefit lasts for 1 minute. If you're smaller than large, you become large along with anything you're wearing. If you like the room to become large, your size doesn't change. You have advantage on strength checks and strength saving throws. Once on each of your turn, one of your attacks with a weapon or an armed strike can deal an extra 1d6 damage to a target on a hit. Out of everything they posted so far, Goliath is the only one that I genuinely like, because I feel like especially Giant Ancestry fits more towards their choice. How come wait a minute, how come Goliath gets to choose which Giant Ancestry they pick, but Dwarf and Dragonborn can't anymore? What is this, WotC? Why is Goliath allowed to have some sort of a choice? Which, I mean, they're kind of needed, of course. Yeah, I agree with that. I like the amount of choice. Anytime there's any choice is great. But like, why does Dwarf and Dragonborn lose their choice? And also Halfling too. Halfling lose their choice as well. Jesus Christ, WotC just gives me so many conniptions. Either way, the new Goliath is fantastic. I really like it. It's really good. Now, moving on to Halfling. Halflings have been streamlined. I hate that word, but okay. All 2024 Halflings receive the Brave, Halfling Nimbleness, Luck, formerly called Lucky, and Naturally Stealthy traits. Your speed is now 30 feet. Oh, look at that! They're doing the same thing done with Dwarves. It doesn't matter which Halfling you pick. There's no choice, no selection. You just get all of the features together, and there's no difference between any of the Halflings whatsoever. Actually, if any of you play Halfling or Dwarf or Dragonborn, let me know in the comments below. What are your thoughts about lack of choice? I don't know how it feels. Maybe some of you are actually excited that you don't have to choose between one of the 2 or 3 options you have. You could just have all of it together at once at the same time. They just done the same thing done to dwarves to halflings without anything new. So I guess except 30 feet. Moving on. Human. 2024 human has been set on traits that are more closely aligned with 2014 variant human traits. Resourceful. You gain heroic inspiration. The 2024 version of inspiration when you finish a long rest. Okay. Skillful. You gain proficiency in 1 skill of your choice. Okay. Versatile. You gain an origin feat of your choice in addition to the 1 gained at character creation. So basically, you get inspiration every long rest, proficiency in 1 skill of your choice, and now you start, instead of 1 extra feat, now everybody starts with a feat apparently, you start with 2 feet instead of one feet. So I mean, at least you got the legs to walk it, I suppose. Not a bad change. Kind of like it actually. Kind of like this one. Orc. That includes the species and core rules. Adrenaline rush. Use of this feature can be regained after a short or long rest. Nice. Cool. Or dark vision has been expanded to a range of 120 feet. Holy crap. Orcs no longer have the powerful build feature. Are you kidding me? Orcs? You know, the big, strong orcs no longer have the powerful build feature. Powerful build used to say that you count as 1 size larger when you determine your character capacity and the way you can push, drag, or lift, which means if a player played an orc, they could lift things more and they can carry more things regardless of their class or their stats or anything. But I guess somebody at WotC really hates orcs because apparently we had to remove the powerful build feature. Why are they taking away all the cool stuff? Why are they constantly taking away all the cool things or the flavor things? Then they could have just left it at that. They could just be like, all right, orcs, just adrenaline rush can be refreshed on a short rest and a long rest, dark vision of 120 feet, and then done. Somebody in the dev team really dislikes orcs for whatever reason. Doesn't want to be able to carry all this stuff. So many conniptions. Why was this done? What was the rhyme or reason for this? A playable species in D&D in different versions since 1993, orcs aren't just back on the menu. Oh, I know I'm pretty cringe as a VTuber, but like, Jesus Christ. Who? Somebody was writing this and be like, yeah, people are gonna think it's so funny. The 2024 org builds upon the adrenaline rush feature for monsters in the multiverse, which allows you to dash and gain temporary hit points as a bonus action. Now you regain all uses of the trait after completing a short rest. Your 2024 orcs also get expanded dark vision, gaining a range of 120 feet, but they yet to forget to mention the reasoning for why your powerful build is taken away. Of course, why would it explain anything? Why would it explain any of the insane reasons or any of the insane decisions in the first place or justify it at all? You don't have to explain why you're taking away a cool feature from orc. God, I hate this. And then we come to the finale. Tieflings. 2024 Tieflings choose from one of the 3 lower planes for their fiendish legacy: Abyssal, Chthonic, or Infernal. Each Tiefling variant has an associated damage resistance as a pair of spells gained at level 3 and level 5. Each spell is always prepared and can be cast once without a spell slot or again using your character's available spell slots. Chthonic Tiefling gains False Life at level 3 and Ray of Enfeeblement at level 5. The 3 Tiefling lineages also gain resistance to an appropriate damage type and a Thaumaturgic cantrip. Each of the 3 Elf and Tiefling variants also gain a unique cantrip. That's all well and good, but let me, dear viewer, explain to you why I am upset about this. If you go over to D&D Beyond and you click on the Tiefling traits, you get not just one Tiefling trait, the default Infernal Legacy, but you get the Beelzebub, Despater, Fiorne, Glacia, Levistus, Mammon, Mistipheles, Zerial, and variant Tiefling. 10 Infernal Tieflings with their own specificalities and own unique Infernal legacies, as well as the variant Tiefling that lets you have a flying Tiefling. Basically, they're telling us to trade in the 10 options we have already right now for only 3. The 3 that are just directly from Baldur's Gate. That's all they've done. That's all the 2024 books are. It's taken Tasha's and Baldur's Gate and some of the homebrew stuff and some of the stuff that already exists in D&D and putting together into this new book. They're just yoinking it from what already exists in general and making you pay $50. I don't care how good the 3 options for the new Tieflings are. I love my 10 options. I love being able to select the default Tiefling, which I'm currently am, but I want to be able to select Mammon if I want to go for the Tensor's Floating Disc or Arcane Lock or Glacia with Invisibility and Disguise Self. Or hell, if I really wanted to, I could just completely forego all the Infernal Legacies and just make winged Tiefling that I can just fly for 30 feet, but I'm not wearing heavy armor. Maybe the new Tiefling might be pretty good for starting players. Maybe the new Tiefling might be good for people that have never touched D&D. And yeah, maybe all these things are going to be a nice little streamlining to players that have never played a Dragonborn or a Dwarf or a Halfling or Aasimar or play D&D in general as a jump start to get into the game for the very first time. But at the end of the day, I like my options. I am upset that WotC is choosing to take away options from the player and instead just cobble everything together. Or if they are given options, they're limiting the options available for the player, take away the choice from creating your player character. I'm just gonna say I'm 80% disliking it and 20% liking it, mainly for human and Goliath stuff. But anyway, let me know your comments. Let me know your thoughts and comments below. Maybe I'm wrong, dude. Maybe I'm just wrong. Maybe people have been asking for dwarves just to be homogenized completely. Maybe Dragonborn and Dwarf players and Halfling players just been asking for homogenization for so long. I don't know. Maybe I'm completely out of the loop. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'm gonna go ahead and continue editing some videos before I fall asleep. Remember this. I'm just a dumb tiefling on the internet that's spouting a bunch of nonsense. You don't have to agree with me. And if you think that maybe I'm incorrect in some areas or my opinion is correct, then it is what it is. I will just be incorrect then. Anyway, see ya.